Right friends, welcome back to Editorials Discussion, and a short while ago we discussed various articles of today, and now this is with regard to discussion of yesterday's articles. In yesterday The Hindu, two important articles I have taken, and some students are asking about the Bangalore incident of molestation of women and law and order situation, and all those aspects I will cover next week, because some more articles are expected on this in future. So, in a comprehensive way we will deal that next week, and one article which appeared in other newspapers pertaining to financial stability report in economic dailies it appeared. So, about the financial stability report I will cover in news capsules, and today two important topics we are going to cover now. These appeared yesterday, though they look a little bit difficult, but analyze these things so that you will understand lot many complexities of geopolitics across the world as on date. And the first one we are talking about is an article yesterday, Arms and the Region. He discussed several aspects, and finally he suggested two things, and what are the various types of questions expected on this. On all those things we are going to deliberate. First and the foremost is statements of America's President-elect Donald Trump, and you look at various statements, how many of them will become reality, that we will come to know after 20th of January when he assumes office. But just look at the statements. First one is wall at the border with Mexico, and look into this. USA and Mexico have got long border, and almost as per the news reports, every year 350 million people cross the border, and now USA President says that, President elect I can say, because he is going to assume charge on 20th. So, President elect Donald Trump says that he will go for a wall across the border. It is around 3000 kilometers if I am not wrong. So, whether it is going to become reality or not, let us see. And the next one is abrogation of TPP. TPP is conceptually agreed. It is going to be free trade agreement of this 12 countries, 5 belongs to Americas, 3 North America, 2 South America, and Australasia region remaining 7 countries, Australia, New Zealand and other 5 countries. So, here you can go through this 3 plus 2 plus Australia and New Zealand, and here Peru, Chile and Canada, USA and Mexico. But here important countries, one important aspect is Japan and USA. If USA abrogates this agreement, it may not exist, but Trump says that he will abrogate TPP. Then the next statement is condemnation of Iran nuclear deal. Iran nuclear deal, in spite of making Saudi Arabia unhappy, USA has gone and it puts its weight behind Iran nuclear deal after years of deliberations. Now Trump says that he will not support this Iran nuclear deal. Then he told that import duty on goods from China, Mexico will be imposed so as to give thrust to manufacturing sector in United States of America and make USA great again. That is the slogan of Donald Trump. Then he took a congratulatory call from Taiwan president. This created lot of animosity between China and USA. Please look into this. This is Taiwan, a small island, and this is big China. So, why there is lot of animosity between China and Taiwan? Because in the year 1949, in the Civil War in 1949, after Second World War, in the Civil War, communists won the Civil War, nationalists lost the Civil War, and nationalists fled from mainland China and came to Taiwan, and communists established government in mainland China. So, People's Republic of China is present day China, and Taiwan is Republic of China, and China follows one China policy. What is the meaning of one China policy? The meaning is, if any country wants to establish diplomatic relations with China, they have to follow this one China policy, and they should not diplomatically recognize Taiwan as an independent country. And this weekend we will have one capsule on one China policy. So, I am not going into the details, and Donald Trump took a call from Taiwan president, and that infuriated China. Then the next one is signals for good relations with Russia. This is another interesting development. Then tweet on UN Security Council resolution on Israeli settlements. This Israel-Palestine conflict. This is topic for almost 20 to 25 minutes discussion. I will present a capsule this month itself on this. I am not going into those details. So, these are the statements of Donald Trump. And taking this at this juncture, leaving this, let us look at actions of China in recent times with aggressive posture. China is becoming nowadays too aggressive. The first one is not obeying the South China Sea verdict. And another interesting point is the affected party in South China Sea case is Philippines. But now Philippines is tilting towards China. Very, very interesting development. And this is interesting because of the reason economics or you can say economic might is dictating the geopolitics of nowadays. Because of economic might, Philippines does not want to strain relations with China in South China Sea verdict. And Asian countries are also not pushing for the implementation of South China Sea verdict. And about South China Sea, we deliberated a capsule 28th week about UNCLOS, United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, very important, please view this. And this territorial waters, exclusive economic zone, what is the meaning at the same time, what is meant by freedom of navigation. These things are very important, please view that. And at the same time, South China Sea also, one capsule is there, please view this capsule, because these are going to be equally important in 2017 also because of aggressive postures by China, right. And if you look at the next issue, positioning of air defense weapons on the reclaimed islands in South China Sea. South China Sea verdict by International Court of Arbitration has stated, that is Permanent Court of Arbitration stated that 9-dash line is non-existent. This China cannot claim sovereign right over these islands. These are Paracel Islands in South China Sea, very important. These are Spratly Islands. Paracel Islands, Spratly Islands. These are in South China Sea, and China is claiming sovereignty over these islands, and 5 countries of adjacent Asia have got rights over these waters. And why this South China Sea is so important? Because of the reason it is important trade route. This is important trade route not only to Southeast Asia but also towards East Asia. So, that is why these waters are very important, and China reclaimed several islands. Not only reclaiming the islands, China also established its air defense systems on these islands. Then another interesting development in recent times, China sent aircraft carrier Liaoning into Bashi Channel. And one important aspect, please do not forget, in current affairs, I tried to cover maximum with regard to politics, polity, at the same time economic aspects, at the same time geography. These are very important because most of the questions under these 3 in any UPSC examination or state group 1 examination are being asked pertaining to the current events. It may be a geography question, but it pertains to some issue in current affairs. Now, South China Sea came into focus. At the same time, Bashi Channel came into focus, and Bashi Channel is part of Luzon Strait. Bashi Channel is a part of Luzon Strait, and this is aircraft carrier of China. And we have our aircraft carrier INS Vikramaditya. INS Vikramaditya is our aircraft carrier, and INS Virat is recently decommissioned, and we have only one aircraft carrier, that is INS Vikramaditya. And this is this is Liaoning of China, this is aircraft carrier, and recently its aircraft carrier has gone to Bashi Channel waters. Why Bashi Channel is very important? Because lot of military movement takes place in this Bashi Channel, and Bashi Channel is situated between Taiwan and Philippines. And the important point here to note is Taiwan is not being recognized by China, and it sent its aircraft carrier into the Bashi Channel recently. Right. So, these are several geopolitical aspects which are taking place across the world. You should have clear idea about all these aspects. Then aggressive diplomatic reaction to the visit of Dalai Lama to Mongolia. Dalai Lama visited Mongolia, and China has taken too seriously, and he is going to visit Arunachal Pradesh. That also taken seriously by China. Why? Because China sees Dalai Lama as a separatist leader. In the eyes of China, Dalai Lama wants to separate Tibet region of China, and India granted asylum to Dalai Lama in 1959. That in fact infuriated China, and the relations between two countries strained. That is also one of the reason. And second important point is Arunachal Pradesh's existence with India is not recognized by China. India's sovereignty over Arunachal Pradesh is not recognized by China. That's why China gives stapled visas for the people from Arunachal Pradesh. Right. So, these are the issues, and nowadays it is putting its aggressive posture. In case of Dalai Lama's visit to Mongolia, not only that, and at the same time there is sending this aircraft carrier to Bashi Channel, and not following the verdict of South China Sea by the Permanent Court of Arbitration. So, these are all the aspects which you have to see at China. China's aggressive posture is clearly evident in recent times, right. And if you go further, Dalai Lama, this is who was granted asylum by India in 1959, which infuriated China. And if you look at India and USA, one important aspect, nowadays India became closer to USA, that is undoubtable fact. And USA also wants a pivot to Asia policy. What is the meaning of pivot to Asia? So far, till date, United States of America concentrated only on Europe as well as Middle East. Middle East it concentrated only because of oil. It meddled into the affairs of Middle East because of oil, and it concentrated on Europe and Middle East. Now, the USA's main concern is Asia's rise is inevitable. Asia is going to be, the 21st century is going to be Asia's century, and it wants to rebalance its ties with the countries of Asia, especially towards East Asia or Southeast Asia, you can say. So, they want to rebalance, and India is one big ally for that pivot to Asia program. That is why USA wants India now more than what India wants USA, right. For its pivot to Asia program, USA need India badly. And in recent times, this defense framework agreement was renewed for 10 years. And one clause of defense framework agreement is defense technology and trade initiative. What is the meaning of defense technology and trade initiative? The meaning is Indian firms will collaborate with USA firms in defense manufacture. Somebody may ask you, what is the literal meaning of defense technology and trade initiative? The meaning is Indian firms will collaborate with the USA firms in defense manufacturing. Then major defense partner, India is recognized as major defense partner. So, what is the meaning of it? The meaning is India will have access to the critical technologies of USA. USA's technologies are accessible only to NATO and other countries, but now India will have access to those critical technologies. Third one is LEMO was signed, Logistics Exchange Memorandum of Agreement. Because of Logistics Exchange Memorandum of Agreement, both the countries can use the military bases. Important point is they cannot establish military bases in other countries, but they can use military bases. So, this is in recent times, and as I have already told you, USA require India's support to further its pivot to Asia policy. So, in reference to the article, I explained a much more than that. To explain you only what is China's aggressive stance in recent times, and second one is how USA is going to rebalance ties with Asian countries, especially India, because in recent times Philippines ditched USA and tilted towards China. That is one important and interesting development. So, under these circumstances, now there is every possibility that India may be in trouble if India inches quite nearer to United States of America. So, future as Russian president feels, future is polycentric world. Polycentric world means no monopoly, no country can dictate monopoly. That is why the affiliations like towards USA or towards Russia or towards China are not good for a country like India, which has got vast population, right. So, this is what the article conveys, but finally this LEMO, this if you want more about LEMO, please view this 35th week we discussed about it. And what are the author's suggestions? Author suggested increasing defense budget, and it may or may not be a wise step. I am not clear about it because we are number 4 in the world. Still 20% of the people are below poverty line, and instead of increasing budgetary allocations year after year, better have cordial relations. That should be the strategy of 21st century. But we have to face the neighbors like Pakistan, that is another ground reality. Then setting up of defense industrial base, this is very important. What is the meaning of defense industrial base? The meaning of defense industrial base is basically to manufacture defense equipments. So, we should become self-reliant in defense equipment. So, here these are the author's suggestions more than what is written in the article I explained you. And finally, questions, what type of questions can come after my explanation? Do the aggressive postures of China threaten the stability of Indian Ocean region as a whole? Then second question is there a case for increasing the security architecture by India in view of aggressive postures by China? China is going aggressively, and is there any need to increase our security architecture, and how to balance our ties? Can we go towards USA? Is it advisable or not? These are the aspects which are broader, one should be in your perspective, right. So, after leaving this article here, we will go to another very important article, Running into the Chinese Wall. This is written by Suhasini Haidar, and here important points. And before going into the important points, this article is all about there is no global consensus on terrorism. Terrorism is defined with the narrow-mindedness to suit their own interests. That is the essence of this article. In the world till date, the definition of terrorism is not in the broader sense. People are defining terrorism to suit their geopolitical ends, to suit their interests. That is the crux of this article. Definitely there is some truth in this article, and before going into this, India, China important points I have listed, because this article started with this Masood Azhar incident. First part is China vetoed India's proposal to ban Jaish-e-Mohammed chief Masood Azhar in spite of clear proof further widened bilateral ties. India-China ties are already under strain, and Masood Azhar case, China as permanent member vetoed it to designate Masood Azhar. There are several there are several factual information available. In fact, the author listed lot many aspects with regard to why Masood Azhar is to be designated as terrorist. And the second one is CPEC passes through POK region. This is Masood Azhar and this is CPEC, we discussed several times, and it passes through our Pak occupied Kashmir region, that is straining ties with China. And the next one is visit of Richard Verma, USA ambassador to Arunachal Pradesh, objected by China, as just now I have discussed. Then proposed visit of Dalai Lama to Arunachal Pradesh in the month of March. This is Arunachal Pradesh, it is a sovereign part of India, but China is not recognizing. That is the reason for widening of gap between India and China. And Richard Verma, USA ambassador, visited Arunachal Pradesh recently and China objected. And Dalai Lama is going to visit Arunachal Pradesh, and there is every possibility that the relations further widen, further strain between India and China when Dalai Lama visits Arunachal Pradesh in the month of March. So, these are the aspects, some of which we discussed in the previous article. And the other important aspect, please look into this: invitation to Uyghurs, Falun Gong, Tibetan activists to India. This also strained the relations. Uyghurs, who are Uyghurs? These Uyghurs are Muslims of Turkish origin, and this is the region where this is known as Xinjiang province. This is Xinjiang province. This is China. This is Xinjiang province, and there are 1 crore Muslims are there. And there are news reports that human rights are being violated in Xinjiang province. So, this is Xinjiang province, and in olden days it was called East Turkestan. It is now integral part of China. We are not disputing that, but there are human rights violations of Xinjiang province as reported in the press, right. So, these are all the aspects. And next one is a Falun Gong. This is one theory in China. This is followed by several people, and this spirituality movement was banned by China, and those activists are going to come to India. India has got invitation to those activists. That infuriated China. Already Tibetan activists we have discussed. Tibet in fact that became a focal point of strain of relations between India and China after India granted asylum to Dalai Lama. Then, as you are well aware, blockade of NSG membership by China strained relations between India and China. So, under these circumstances, the author with the chronology discussed there is no global consensus on terrorism. From the author's viewpoint, I have taken 10-11 points, and each country has violated the principle, and each and every country is the culprit, and they defined terrorism to suit their needs. That is the crux of the matter of this article. And let us go with the chronology, and after that what type of questions can be expected. First one is, after 9/11 attacks, all of you are familiar with the World Trade Center attack in 2001 on September 11, and thousands of people lost their lives. After that, United Nations Security Council passed a resolution to fight Taliban and Al-Qaeda. That resolution was passed, and at that time, almost 15 years ago, world community felt that world is uniting against these terrorists. But what happened? Subsequent to 2010, Taliban was separated. In fact, sanctions committee was there previously for both Al-Qaeda and Taliban. But what happened subsequent to 2010, in the name of talks, sanctions against Taliban were separated from that of Al-Qaeda. And Al-Qaeda as well as Islamic State sanctions committees were formed separating Taliban. This is important development. Then the next one, in 2001, Russia supported USA's initiative to fight Al-Qaeda. After the World Trade Center attack, Russia supported USA, and subsequently USA established their bases in some Central Asian countries, as well as the security architecture of Afghanistan was taken by United States of America. and after 15 years, now Russia is questioning about all these things, and it is now becoming closer to China, and at the same time it is questioning about various military bases established by USA. In 2001, to fight terrorism, Russia itself told, please establish bases, please fight terrorism, but now Russia says, why USA established all these bases? And it is inching towards China, and it has also made a new beginning with Pakistan, and Russia, China, Pakistan is axis is also appears in the horizon. And next one is, world is going slow on Taliban because Afghanistan and Pakistan are crucial for China's One Belt One Road initiative, and each and every country have got their geopolitical interests, and Taliban became nowadays almost a softer group, and nobody is going hard on Taliban. People are talking about Al Qaeda, people are talking about Islamic State, but when it comes to Taliban, there is some soft corner. In fact, 3-4 countries discussions are going on with the Taliban for the past 3-4 years, and India is not into that discussions also. Next one, USA is pushing for removal of sanctions against some groups in Afghanistan. This is basically to suit their interests, and no global consensus. All of you are clear about India's proposal on comprehensive convention on international terrorism. India proposed, please define terrorism, please follow some convention, please establish rules, but comprehensive convention on international terrorism is still on paper. Next one is the incident, the present incident of Masood Azhar clearly indicates that there is no global consensus on terrorism. So this is the reality as on date, and if you look at what type of questions are expected, there is no consensus across the world on the definition of terrorism. Critically comment, and whatever the points listed here, those points can be quoted for this type of question, and in fact each and every country defining their aspect of terrorism in parochial lines. What is the meaning of parochial? This word comes quite frequently. The meaning of parochial is with narrow-mindedness, without broad mind. With the narrow-mindedness, various aspects are being dealt with as far as terrorism is concerned. And the next question is, geopolitics across the world resulted in parochial definition of terrorism which suits their needs. Critically comment. This parochial definition of terrorism, nowadays terrorism is being defined with narrow-mindedness. He is a terrorist in one country and he is a nationalist in other country. Where is the definition of terrorism? So he is a good terrorist, he is a bad terrorist. People talk about good and bad terrorists. There cannot be good terrorist, there cannot be bad terrorist, and there cannot be the difference of opinion as far as nationalists as well as terrorists are concerned. So under these circumstances, these type of questions are to be answered with the chronology, what happened in the world during the past 15-20 years. And this is critical question, and this article and the previous article, whatever I have discussed yesterday's newspaper, these two are very, very important articles. And with this we came to the end of this newspaper analysis of yesterday, and today's newspaper we have discussed. And 2-3 important aspects I would like to tell you. Every week, in addition to this newspaper discussion, you will have 3 capsules plus news at a glance as well as questions and answers. So 5 modules you will have, all 5 will be uploaded within next 1 or 2 days. And please do not worry, please follow these newspaper editorial discussions as well as those capsules as well as news at a glance and Q&A. News at a glance and Q&A are coming in different formats, why and how as well as facts and figures. Please view all these modules, and if you follow for 6 months, I am pretty sure that your knowledge will grow exponentially. because we are explaining with lot many maps, lot many pictures, and this is being followed with sequential way with reference to previous articles. So, please follow this current affairs series, and there are some apprehensions that this capsules are being discontinued with. There is nothing like that, and in fact the present format of this newspaper discussions along with the 3 capsules along with the news at a glance as well as Q&A is much better than the previous one. You will be benefited immensely because of this. In fact, even for mains examination also this will be sufficient up to 60 to 70% of your needs, and we will try to make it almost 80 to 90% as the time progresses, and you can write any examination because we are touching several aspects as we are discussing various articles. Today, in fact, while discussing election commission, one example I will tell you, while discussing election commission, I touched upon constitutional bodies. What is the difference between election commission and a state election commission? What is model code of conduct? And what is the case for simultaneous polls? Like that. And in today's this articles also, I touched upon several aspects. Where is Bashi channel? And what is UNCLOS, what is the South China Sea judgment, all these things we discussed, and as and when required we are going with maps also. And the day before yesterday we discussed about Turkey in detail, where is Dardanelles Strait, where is Bosphorus Strait and Sea of Marmara, all those things we discussed there, they pertain to geography, but when you relate geography, polity as well as economy with current affairs, you will not forget. If you read geography separately, there is every chance that you may forget, but if you combine all these aspects into current affairs and if you learn with pictures, you will not forget. That is the concept of learning space. We will serve you much better during 2017, and with all these words, I would like to tell you one more aspect. From next week, from Monday, we will be with you 5 days a week. So, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So, all 5 days we will present newspaper articles at 11 o'clock, but not on Saturday and Sunday. Saturday articles, if any important articles are there, they will be discussed on Monday. Otherwise, you will have newspaper editorial discussion at 11 o'clock, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, all 5 days from next week, which will be immensely beneficial to you. And during the weekend, you will have capsules as well as news at a glance and Q&A. Right, friends, with this let us conclude this editorials discussion. Have a nice day, have a nice weekend. Thank you, thanks a lot.